Welcome to another Soccer Down Here special edition. My name is Jason Longshore, and if you've been following Atlanta United's start to the 2022 season, there's been two opponents here to start things off in preseason that you might not know very well, the Georgia Storm and the Georgia Revolution. Atlanta United played the Storm behind closed doors at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground in Marietta just a week into preseason training. And then a few days later, went over to Athens at the Turner Soccer Complex in front of a capacity crowd and played the Georgia Revolution. These are two clubs from the NPSL. Both had very strong seasons in 2021. Both were competing for the division title. Both actually met in Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup qualifying against one another and have created a nice local rivalry at that level. Get a chance today to talk to leadership from both clubs about what this experience will do for their clubs back in Henry County and out in Carrollton for the Storm, what it does to kick off the 2022 year for them, and just how challenging it was to bring a team together on not short notice, but out of their season. It's something that Darren Eales was very impressed with both clubs, that they were able to put together competitive sides, give Atlanta United a good test, a good preseason workout, because these games ultimately don't accomplish what Gonzalo Pineda needs them to accomplish if it's not competitive. And I think you saw that both clubs, the Georgia Storm and the Georgia Revolution, were able to compete and push Atlanta United, which helps them as they go to Mexico now and will face three opponents in Mexico. They come back to face the Birmingham Legion in a friendly a week before the home opener against Sporting Kansas City. Let's hear from the leadership of both clubs. We're going to start with Eric Morrison of the Georgia Revolution. Eric, it's great to catch up with you after the last week that the Georgia Revolution have had. A lot of people have gotten to know the club over the last week after the game in Athens. How did everything come about for the Revs to get an opportunity to play Atlanta United in their preseason?
Hey, Jason, good to see you. We got contacted it was during the holidays, so somewhere late December, early January, that they were interested in playing us. Immediately, our answer was going to be yes. Really didn't have any idea what we're going to field as a team. We're off season, but there's no way I'm turning down an opportunity to play the Atlanta United. So we said yes, and we went from there. At first we thought it was going to be a close scrimmage, and then ended up being in Athens, which was just absolutely fantastic. That's the short answer of how it came about. We had scrimmaged them last year, so they knew us already.
Yeah, I think that's something that maybe a lot of people didn't know is Atlanta United does bring together some scrimmages behind closed doors at the training facility, opportunity to work on some things against live opponents. And you guys had that chance last year. Was that with Gabriel Heinze or was that with Gonzalo Pineda?
It was with Heinze.
Okay.
It was completely closed, so we didn't really broadcast that we were doing it.
Yeah.
It was a great experience for the guys. We showed fairly well. And I think that's one of the reasons we got invited back. We handled it professionally as an organization, and we showed well.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big takeaways for me from this past week, knowing you guys and knowing Georgia Storm and knowing the level you can bring. I thought the show that you guys both put on in these games, you gave Atlanta United what they needed in their first couple of weeks of preseason. They needed a live opponent. They needed tests. It wasn't easy for them. They had to work, and that's what Gonzalo Pineda was looking for.
Yeah, I was really happy with the way our guys played on Saturday. First few minutes were rough. Our guys had to kind of settle into the speed of the game. We had talked about this as a staff that we kind of felt like we would give up a couple early goals.
Yeah.
Maybe not the barrage we did end up catching, but we knew they were going to come running at us, and we knew like the majority of our players have never played against a team of guys of that level.
Right.
I don't know that anybody in our team has actually played against a true MLS team, and there's a pretty large jump. So it took them about 10 minutes to settle into the game, and I felt like once we settled in, we made a respectable showing of it.
Yeah, I absolutely thought so too. And I think another thing that makes it more difficult for you guys that might not be well known is that you're not in your season preparations yet. Now, you guys are in a unique situation with the US Open Cup happening in March. So you'll be fielding a team, and this has been a big conversation over the last couple of years in US soccer with the summer league teams participating in Open Cup a lot earlier than normal. You won't have the normal roster of college players. You won't have access to those guys in March. You didn't have access to them here either.
Right, and we use this as a building block for that. So, I mean, you saw the full roster. I'm sure most of the fans didn't actually see the full roster, but it was almost solely former and current Revs, minus our college guys. And then, we sprinkled in a handful of guys, I think 3 or 4 guys. I think it might have been 5 players that we sprinkled in that we're legitimately looking at for the US Open Cup. We didn't open it up and say, hey, every local former professional that wants a chance to go at Atlanta United, give us a call. We really focused on not so much the result, but how do we field a true Revolution team and show who we really are as players, how to reward a lot of our loyal players, and really building towards, that March US Open Cup game.
That's one of the things that I think people who are getting to know the Revs, this is a club with a long history at the grassroots level, but it's been kind of a rebirth over the last couple of years. And you guys have built steadily with some guys like Saggy Hirsch that we've seen for a while, some guys who've played for a few years for the club, but it's steadily improved to last year being the best year that the club's ever had in NPSL play.
Yeah, we're looking to build upon that this year. It has been very good. We stuck true to our philosophy when we first, I came in 2016, and I really believe you can either spend a lot of money and build fast, and you also collapse fast.
Yeah.
Or you can do that slow, steady build. And we really focused it, both the financial and on the field. We wanted to build a club, not just a team. And we've gone with that slow build, and it's really beginning to pay dividends now. I'm really proud of everything that's going on.
Yeah, it's tough to do this. I mean, I've been involved at the grassroots level. You've been around it forever. You see so many different approaches, and I'm glad you mentioned building a club as opposed to building just a team, because we see teams that get into the Open Cup and they've got a great group of players, but the infrastructure isn't there to sustain it. What you guys are doing is not just about the NPSL team. It's about the after school programs going on in Henry County. It's about youth. It's about the local leagues as well. It is a true club top to bottom.
Yeah, it definitely is. We have a lot of hardworking members of the staff that have a lot to do with that. I'm glad you mentioned the after schools program, because I really feel like that's kind of a lot of who we are. We really want to be part of the community and give back to the community. And we've been fortunate enough that we've had some donors that have given back to help us support that program. It's not a free program. It's free for the kids, but it's not obviously not free to run. And
Right.
It's been exciting. It's steadily growing. Now we're giving free clinics. We'd like to give free clinics every other Saturday. We're building towards that. Weather's been a little difficult for us recently. But,
Yeah.
Working towards that. We're really just trying to expose, kids that maybe haven't been exposed to soccer, maybe haven't been in a situation where they can receive professional coaching, to at least come out and, every couple of weeks, play with some professional coaches, or in their schools if we happen to be in their school, stick around and play with some free coaches. It's just so important to me that we're giving back to the community that's helping support us.
It's such an important aspect of it, and it goes back to planting those roots. And I was really happy to see Atlanta United, I think, recognize the work that you've put in, that your family's put in to build the Revs, and same with the Storm, and shine that spotlight on you guys. And I think, full disclosure, it's important to note that the Arthur Blank Foundation has supported your after school programs as well.
Yes, they have. They gave us a donation last year, and it was extremely helpful. And they've been supportive, though. The way Atlanta United has approached us both as an NPSL squad and just an organization as a whole has been just really professional. I mean, coming from a small grassroots organization that is, heavily family ran. I mean, we have other help, but a lot of it's family. To see how these organizations run, and an organization like that wanting to reach out to the community is impressive. And it's lessons we can learn too of how can we get better at this.
Yeah, and that's the key. I think what this past week has been, a lot of people, and we've talked about it a ton on the shows here on SDH about, which Atlanta players have looked good, who has, a point to prove in preseason. That aspect of it's very important. But it has been a celebration of soccer in the state, not even just the metro area with the game in Athens and drawing such a great crowd. It's been a celebration of, what the top level can do for the grassroots and to help it grow. I hope, and I'd love to get your sense of this. I hope that this allows you guys to recruit a higher level of talent, both on and off the field going forward.
I think it will. I mean, granted, this is my perspective, but I think anybody doesn't want to join the Georgia Revolution that lives in this area is out of their mind. But
I like it.
It's I think it certainly gives some additional exposure. When we speak to NPSL, say you won the conference championship last year, going to Open Cup this year. We're already assuming we were going to get some good players in, but I think this is really showing everybody, what we have. I mean, realistically, this is a team we put together in a matter of a couple of weeks, and we love doing it. It was a lot of fun, but I really think, especially with us sticking true to who the Georgia Revolution is and sticking with our players, I think it kind of shows people that, maybe we're not the club to call if you're looking to play a one-off game with us so you can get some exposure. Maybe you need to be part of the club and then see how that works out for you. And I'm really excited we were able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you've been able to involve some of these guys, some of the guys who played on Sunday in Athens and guys throughout the history of the club. You've been able to involve them in those after-school programs, the free clinics. They're expected to do more than just show up and play games.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we have every one of those clinics, we have players out there. Every after schools program, we have one of our players actually runs one of the after schools.
Awesome.
It's of course in the summer we bring in some people that are from outside the area also.
Yeah.
And this year they're going to be more involved because I think we're going to have some free camps running. But the players are involved in everything, every aspect of the club, particularly ones that have been around for a long time. I mean, you mentioned guys like Sagi Hurst. Man, Sagi's been around since 2018 now.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of fourth division players that stick around with the same club that long.
Right.
There's different players like that. Even some guys, that are like at our reserves, like Rob Kighton. To be honest, he's been with the club longer than I have. And he manages our reserves. It's there's a family aspect to it that I think unless you're here, you don't really understand it.
So for people who are getting to know you guys, you have the senior team that plays in the summer in the NPSL will participate in the Open Cup in March. You have a reserve team that plays in the Atlanta District Amateur Soccer League,
yes.
Kind of in an opposite season. You have a U23 team that's in the ADASL as well. Is there and in the youth side of it, did I miss anything?
No, you didn't miss anything.
Okay.
Our U23 team is really that link between our kids coming out of the academy. Like we have 7 or 8 U19 players playing on it right now to try to get them to where can we get them to the reserves? Can we get them an NPSL?
Right.
And that team actually I'm pretty proud of it. They're working really hard, getting some results, but they're playing D1 ADASL. It's not an easy division for kids who are coming out of youth.
Absolutely.
But they're holding their own. It's kind of how we built the pyramid, and our youth is growing itself out. We had our 17s won their conference in Georgia soccer this year. They were very good. They lost 1 game all season. I'm sorry, our 19s. Our 17s had a good season. I think they took like 3rd in their conference. Brand new team. I mean, most of those guys had never played together.
Right.
So I was impressed with how they pulled together as a team. And then we just started our U12s. We're looking to add to that younger age group. They're going to start training this week, and then we've got quite a few new players coming out. So we're really trying to get the younger, and then we've got to fill in that gap between like the 12s and the 17s. So I think we'll come in the fall.
And you guys are based in Henry County, play the NPSL games in McDonough. All the youth and everything trains in that area.
Right. Right now, everything is in McDonough. We're actually doing everything in Henry High right now.
Okay.
We're looking at some other spots in the area. They'll all be in the Henry County McDonough area.
Yeah.
But we're looking at a couple other spots right now. As we expand, we're going to need more room. So we're looking at some various options.
And that's been through partnerships with Henry County schools, right?
Yes, through Henry County schools.
It's hard to do this stuff. And that's why I mentioned like all these partners. And I think people, maybe getting to know this level of the game. It's not easy to run a club at this level on your own. You have to have these kinds of partnerships, whether it's facility with schools, people who can come in and help coach, administrative stuff. It's a lot to do year after year.
It is. We rely heavily on sponsorship.
Yeah.
Like everybody does. And, that's a matter of working within your local community, getting that trust. I mean, large international corporations aren't calling fourth division teams saying, "Hey, I want to write you $100,000 check." That's not how it works. I mean, it's a grind. I mean, every single sponsor becomes a personal relationship. And we've actually met some great friends and partners too. I mean, but it's not an easy, particularly when you first start, it's not as easy as everybody thinks. And it really does personal relationships, and it's been great. I love it.
What's the most rewarding thing about it for you?
I mean, winning obviously is the answer that everybody would say, and it is.
Right.
I think the most rewarding from a personal level is just to watch the growth, to watch how the community is involved, and to watch how, we've actually touched some lives through the after schools program.
Yeah, 100%.
And to see those parents and have the parents talk to you about what you've done for their kids. It's really, and I don't want to get into people's personal stories, but the impact we've had on people's personal lives is something that's kind of makes you really proud. It's why you get up in the morning to do it.
That's awesome. I love that the club has grown so much from one team to all of these different aspects, improving the community surrounding it through the game. It's so cool to see. I love telling the story. We're going to tell the story more this year. We're going to kick off a weekly show, probably do it ahead of that Open Cup game so people can get to know the squad as you go into the first round of the Open Cup. But we're going to have a weekly show here on SDH with interviews with coaches, interviews with players to get to know the Revs a little bit deeper. And I'm just glad that we can provide that spotlight too.
Yeah, I'm really happy you can too. I think, it's really says a lot for your organization, that you're covering, fourth division, that you're really, and looking at the grassroots piece, because, if we were talking earlier about Atlanta United, they clearly understand the importance of grassroots, and they're really, really helping not just our organization, but across the Atlanta metro area. And it's good to have, media support of that too, because it's really hard to get the word out outside of your immediate local area. And even then, it's not always easy. I am sure if you walked around Henry County and asked everybody about the Georgia Revolution, not everybody knows we exist.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the more media we get, the better. The more exposure really show what's going on. I think, Georgia Storm is doing some great things. There's other organizations that are doing some great things. And I think getting that word out really, ain't going to make the local community proud. And it also just creates awareness.
You mentioned the Storm, and we're going to hear from Stephen Bivens of the Georgia Storm here in just a minute. That's turned into a nice little rivalry on the field, huh?
Yeah, it has. When the Silverbacks left, we kind of lost our rival.
Yeah.
And the Georgia Storm came in, and we quickly became rivals. I mean, that very first game, and we got a red card in the first 10 minutes, just stomped a guy. And from there on, the rivalry was born. We were lucky we got out of there with the victory. I say it was lucky because we played with 10 men, and they are a quality side. But
yeah,
such as soccer, sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug. We have to be the windshield that day. They went back and we played them 2 more times during the season, once in the conference championship. And yeah, the matches were physical. They were heated. They were very even. One was a draw and one was another 2-goal game. And then in the craziest turn of luck in US Open Cup qualifiers, our reserves faced off with them, and it went to PKs. We ended up winning that game, but it could have easily gone the other way. That was a very, very even match. So this rivalry is there. Our fans yell and scream at them. Their fans yell and scream at us. It's actually pretty funny. It's an exciting environment. I love it. And also, I've known Stephen Bivens for quite a while. He played for us.
Yeah.
So they're a quality organization too. Like they're a good group, but that on the field rivalry is just a blast.
Man, we talk about rivalries all the time in MLS. These are good things. Like that game with a little extra edge to it. That's a selling point for fans to come back.
Gosh, that Open Cup qualifier with our reserves, the uprising, our fans were in those guys, just in their head the whole game. I mean, they were screaming into their I'm forgetting anyway, they were screaming in the microphone very loudly the whole game at them. It was, I mean, it had to be annoying for them. It was pretty brutal, but it was fun. It's something you see in lower league soccer. You know, our guys got there, they're popping the smoke. You know, they're on the bullhorn. And they're not necessarily on the bullhorn leading chance. They're on the bullhorn, giving the guys a hard time.
Yeah, there's a little of that.
Something, you know, you can't really do that at the higher levels because it's kind of, and I don't think teams would appreciate it for one thing.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun, and it creates that rivalry. And, you know, the Storm Chasers, they can make a lot of noise too. I mean, they're not a quiet group. And it's amazing at the games. It's an environment, if you haven't been to, you know, it's something I'd recommend anybody could just find your local minor league soccer team and go watch a match sometime. And it's a lot. It's fun.
Yeah, it was great to see some of the uprising up in Athens supporting the Revs.
Yeah, I was really happy to have them there. You know, they were having a nice tailgate. We had an opportunity to go out and talk to them for a few minutes. Nice. They really enjoyed it. You know, there's some guys in the uprising that, like Justin Murphy. I mean, again, he predates me.
Yeah.
You know, so for these guys, it's just unreal that where we've started and where we are. Nobody would have said 5 years ago we'd be playing an MLS team. You know, that's just unbelievable for everybody involved.
It's so cool to see. I remember with the Silverbacks reserves going over to Conyers back in the day, the first iteration of the Revs and the battles that the Silverbacks reserves had with the Revs during that time. Now it's to a point that, hey, a couple of wins in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup and maybe see Atlanta United again.
That would be amazing. I mean, hopefully we're fortunate enough to get a couple of wins and go play them again. That would be a lot of fun. I mean, I would assume that would probably be in Kennesaw or something, but it would be a whole lot of fun. I mean, if they want to open the Benz up to us, we are willing to play at the Benz.
Maybe one of these. This rivalry continues to grow. You get the giant killers in the cup. These kinds of things. Maybe one of these games does get played in the Benz down the road.
Hey, you know, teams get lucky sometimes. You know, I'm not predicting we're going to go beat the Atlanta United, but wow, wouldn't that be amazing?
That's the beauty of why we all do this. That's the fun of all of this. Eric, thanks for the time, man. Appreciate it. We'll be talking to you really soon as we get everybody ready for the Georgia Revolution in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup in the first round in March.
All right, hey, Jason, thanks for having me, bud.
Now we're here with Stephen Bivens, general manager of the Georgia Storm. The Storm played Atlanta United in the first preseason friendly of the year. Stephen, you just told me that's going to be your last match. Is this true? This is your last game as a player?
It'll be my last competitive game as a player, like at this level.
Fair enough.
I'll still be playing in local leagues, but officially I'm backing down for sure.
Because look, we talked about this last year before we get into the Atlanta United game. You've done such amazing work off the field and getting the Georgia Storm off the ground, playing in NPSL. You weren't expecting to play as much as you did last year, and you were only one of the leading scorers in the country.
Right? Yeah, it was funny. So I was recruiting a couple guys for my position, and they kind of fell through last minute. But I'm the kind of guy that stays ready, so I've been training, and then I actually had the best year in my career this past year, which is kind of funny. Wasn't even expecting to play. But that's part to having a really good team and great players around me and stuff. So I'm really grateful to do that and help the team get started. But also now I'm focused on some other things too off the field.
And it's busy, and we've just talked to Eric Morrison about all the work that you guys at this level have to do off the field. What I'm hopeful is that this past week that was hugely beneficial to Atlanta United in getting ready for their upcoming season is also hugely beneficial to the grassroots game in the state. How did everything come about for the relationship with Atlanta United and to get the game that you guys did at the training ground?
Yeah, so to be honest, I figured it would take us 5 to 7 years to even get on Atlanta United's radar for like a friendly or anything like that. So they actually reached out to us through Sam Morrison and the director of operations there, which was great because they had the idea of going more local for their first 2 games, which is awesome. And, for a club like us to be able to get on a preseason friendly schedule with a team like Atlanta United is a huge deal because as soon as they announced it on their friendly list, different news publications were covering it, and we had all of our community reaching out to us saying, "Is this us? Is this us?" And we're like, "Yes, this is us." Like we're going for it. So that was really cool to see that, and then to go and do it was awesome too.
Yeah, I think it was one of the busiest days for media at the training ground in club history. Huge turnout and a lot of people asking questions about you guys. I was watching from the sideline with the rest of the media, and a lot of people were asking about some of the players, asking about, the club's background. It was really cool to see you guys get that shine.
Yeah, definitely. And historically, we've operated as a youth club, basically up until you're 18, out in West Georgia, in Douglasville, Carrollton, and Villa Rica. And then last year, we started our NPSL team, and we actually, got a really good team together. We finished second in the Southeast, which was a lot of success that we weren't really expecting in our first year, but it came our way due to, our team working really hard and our staff getting things together the right way. And then just being ready for an opportunity like this. So this was our off season and having players that are willing to return. So in that friendly, we had 12 NPSL returners along with some additions and then some youth academy players that came with us. So just having the player pool also that know who we are and want to play for us. So that way when opportunities like this come, we're ready and we can say yes. So
it's interesting the differences between you guys and Georgia Revolution. They've went into the youth side after having the NPSL team. You guys grew up the other way with the academy side and now have grown up into an NPSL team. How important is it to have that consistency amongst the club and building that identity across the board?
Yeah, so we've operated as a youth club, and we all agreed as an executive staff that our next evolution of the club was to add a men's team and then eventually a women's team, but a men's team to start. So that way, as these kids are growing up in our youth academy, they can kind of see what's at the top, even though we're not at the top as far as like U.S. soccer, but you can see what you're heading towards and training for, and have it firsthand. So having players that have played college, played a little bit of professional, being a part of our club is a huge deal. So that way, when our kids want to ask questions, they can come and ask questions of, someone like Hunter Jumper, who was our center back, had played 3 years in the MLS. So having that opportunity for the youth players is really awesome. So that way they can be inspired and keep chasing their dreams. And at the same time, it opens doors for opportunities like Atlanta United Friendly and the NPSL and some other matches like that really help us grow our brand and our community as we continue to develop as a club.
Yeah, it's one of the most important things about it. And, talking about the overall soccer scene, I mean, Atlanta United is the big dog in town. They're the MLS team, but they can't always be all over the metro area at all times. With you guys out in Carrollton, really, I think growing the grassroots of the game there, having Atlanta United's great for you, but also you guys have to be active there and grow the game in the grassroots, getting your hands in the dirt and developing those players and developing those, future fans.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And we try to do our best to put the best game experience at the highest level possible for our fans in West Georgia. And yes, there's tons of Atlanta United fans, including myself, that live in Douglasville, Carrollton, Villa Rica. But at the same time, how often can they go to every single game when maybe we have a home game and Atlanta United's away? So stuff like that, where you can still get a good high level soccer experience, but a little bit more local. So, we're focused on that. And especially going into 2022 here, we're focused on really establishing ourselves in the community. Everyone knows us as a youth club in West Georgia, but we're trying to break through that and make everyone realize that we're a fully integrated club with a men's team kind of at the top of our club that competes at a high level against some professionals and then a lot of semi-professional teams and leagues, especially.
What was really cool to hear after the game, and I think it's important for me to say after the game, because you guys had some, teenage players who didn't get NPSL experience with you last year play against Atlanta United. I didn't pick them out. I didn't say man, okay, who's that kid? They're not ready for this. I couldn't tell the difference. They were that good. What was the experience like for those guys?
Yeah, so it was really cool. They were the most excited out of anyone, and I was really excited myself. So taking 4 of our youth academy players, we took 4 06s, so they're like 15, 16 years old. Okay. And they have dreams of playing pro one day. So we really wanted to take them into an environment where here's one of the best professional setups in North America. So take notes, see what it's like, understand, what it takes to get here. And so we did put one of those players on the field for the back half of the second half. So he did get some minutes, which he was really nervous. I was sitting on the sideline, and when the call came for him to come in, he was kind of looking around like it was a joke. And I was like, no, man, put your shirt on and you're going in to play. Like, go play. Like, you can play. Go out there and play. And so Isaac went out there and he did that, and he did great. I mean, he touched the ball several times. Obviously, we were defending a lot, due to the circumstances of the game,
right.
But he played his role. He was fine. So, I mean, that's something we want to do as we grow as a club, is really integrate and bridge that gap between our men's team and our youth club. So that way, one day if we do get a professional bid, or we do continue in a semi-professional league where a 16-year-old can make a debut on our senior team. And so they get a taste of that as they continue to grow and develop as a player individually. So, yeah, we're really focused on that and really bridging that gap.
It's so much of it's access. I mean, we've all been involved in different levels of the game. I coached with soccer in the streets for a number of years. We'd have players who would come through that you knew there was something special about them, and for whatever reason, maybe they didn't have the money to play at one of the top clubs that got noticed. Maybe they couldn't get to the practices on a regular basis. There's guys that, because of access, don't get that opportunity. And I would assume that there are some really talented players out in West Georgia who are not able to play in Atlanta United's youth academy, not able to play at some of the big clubs that get everybody's attention here in metro area, but they're quality players. That access is critical, and you guys can bridge that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, in the past, we've done different leagues on the youth side. We've never really gotten into like the DA or MLS Next, but if we take a 16-year-old that's playing on one of our National League teams and put him in a men's level National League game, like an NPSL game, that's huge. That's a huge experience for them that, we're trying to be unique in being able to offer that to our youth players at a senior debut. It's a special thing that can teach a young player a lot and really inspire them to keep chasing that dream and know what's coming next.
Year one of NPSL in the books for you guys. Really successful year on the field, competed for the division title, got into the Open Cup first round of qualifying. What did you learn about running a club that maybe you didn't know coming into last season?
Yeah, so I learned a lot. One of the things that I did have going in was I had played for the Georgia Revs in an NPSL setup for basically 2 seasons. So I learned a lot from the inside, on a player side, but managing it and one of the big things I learned is, offering a good service to the community. So the communities, we're not Atlanta United necessarily in downtown Atlanta. So being able to offer things for the community to come and participate and watch us play, but at the same time, we're giving back to the community, whether that's clinics and camps. And some of the other things is obviously it's a challenge to keep players motivated, because when you get to this level, there's players that have all different kinds of interests, and kind of managing that is also tricky. And then also, just the business side of it and making sure that as we grow and we want to develop as a club, making sure that we're treating our fans right, we're treating our players right, our staff is happy and doing great things. So just kind of establishing all that as one. And obviously the level of play was a new thing to us. We've operated as a youth club. So bringing in players that could match that level of play and maybe have played beyond and all that. So it was a lot, but it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot, and there's a lot of things I'm carrying into 2022 that I'm excited about for sure.
I think one of the things that sets what you guys are doing and what the Revs are doing apart from a lot of really talented NPSL teams on the field is you're both really focused on the overall club. It's not just one team that's playing with some good players. It's the club as a whole, and it's the community. That's what's going to give you guys that sustainability that maybe some other teams have lacked. Yeah,
I totally agree. And when I do a lot of our recruiting for our NPSL team, so when I'm recruiting guys, one of the main things that I'm focused on is this guy a good ambassador for our club? Because I'm going to have 10-year-olds that are coming to the game and wanting to meet him. So, will he represent the club, and will he carry himself in a professional manner? So that way our youth players are inspired and not turned off. So, because there's a lot of players at this level. And so picking the right ones is a very difficult and challenging thing. So one of the things that I really focus on is making sure that they're going to represent Georgia Storm as a professional and a good leader for the kids to look up to.
Now, one of the other things that you do individually that maybe a few people know, maybe they don't, is you do a lot of individual training in the off season for guys. You've had a lot of Atlanta United players, current and former out there training with you. How did you get into individual training?
Yeah, so it started actually probably 5 or 6 years ago. I started working with Kevin Barajas when he was coming out of University of Kentucky, and I helped him get ready for the first Atlanta United tryout. And I think he's still one of the few players that have been selected from the Atlanta United Open tryout. And then kind of just doors open from there. And then I've focused on producing quality training. So like, if you give a player a good session, they're gonna talk about it, especially if it's a professional, because there's not too many people out there that train professionals on a regular basis. So just kind of getting into that. And then this past off season, I worked with CC Uche of LAFC, John Gallagher, former Atlanta United. He's at Austin FC, Mo Adams, former Atlanta United, Inter Miami, and just helping them stay fit and sharp in the off season, and giving them some training that'll challenge them and keep them going while they get ready for the next season.
And I'm sure that creates a big boost for you with recruitment and with your Georgia Storm guys as well, who you've had mix in.
Yeah, don't tell everyone my secrets.
No, I'm kidding. Just trying to draw people out to you.
No, I'm kidding. Yes, exactly right. And I don't keep my training exclusive to professionals either. So I'll train a 10-year-old and then I'll train a professional right after. So like I try to make sure that when I'm offering my training, like curriculum and programs, that I'll have a 10-year-old kid at 9 o'clock in the morning, and then I'll have an MLS player at 10 o'clock right after that. So I can tell the 10-year-old, hey, stay and watch, see this guy play. And, these guys that I've worked with that are in the MLS and USL Championship, they're great guys. So they're always willing to stop and talk to the kids and teach them and, give them a couple pointers and stuff. So that's pretty cool to see that too.
It's so cool. It's like an extra little bonus that I think gives you guys a unique hook to draw players in and get people excited about it.
Yeah, most definitely. And, I'll continue to do it as long as, they call me back and everything. I'm watching these guys now in preseason, so they look pretty good so far, at Miami and Austin FC and stuff. So hopefully they have good seasons and go and do a lot of good things in 2022.
Yeah, I was reading some of the reviews of, I think it was the Miami Universitario game. People were raving about Mo Adams, so you're doing something right.
Yeah,
he was ready.
Obviously, I don't take credit for much, but I helped him stay fit.
Yeah, you got him ready for preseason. Take that. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Sure.
So looking ahead to NPSL in 2022, you guys were really close to getting into the next stage of the playoffs, really close to getting into the next stages of the Open Cup. What is it going to take to get there in 2022 for you guys?
Yeah, so the first thing is a good team full of great players, and great for us in that we have 12 guys that want to return. So in my experience in NPSL, that is a difficult thing to do. So having a low turnover rate this next year, and we're going to carry a good core group of guys that were starters and non-starters into this 2022 season, which is a huge benefit to us. So then we take that and I'm looking for a couple key pieces to fill in there. And our coaching staff learned a lot about, how to push our team in training, the level of training that we need. So starting in the very beginning of this next season, we're ready. And we have guys that know our culture, all that. So that's big for us, like having guys that understand our culture going into the second year, because it's easy to find yourself in these NPSL or USL2 situations where you build a whole new team from scratch every year and the culture doesn't, continue over year to year. So we're really happy that we think we can start where we left off from 2021 going into 2022. So we're super pumped about it.
Yeah, that continuity is just so important at this level. Just some touchstones that new guys can fall back on and get settled.
Yeah, exactly. So when we bring in some new guys, we've got our old guys, our former guys that already know how to set the tone and what the standard is from the start. And it doesn't have to be me or our coaching staff driving that, the only ones doing that. So it's really, really exciting and really, really big for us to have that.
Yeah, it's so critical. We're also going to do a regular weekly show with you guys ahead of the season. You guys are going to play some friendlies ahead of time. Hopefully we'll have some broadcasts of those for you. And we're going to work with you guys to get your home games broadcast on our SDH platform with video. That's a new thing for us. We had a chance to do a couple games. I did one. John did one with you guys out in Carrollton last year. I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun because I don't think I'm going to get the same game I got last year where I think you guys put up 14 goals. I'm still not sure how many goals were scored in that game.
Yeah.
Either 13 or 14.
Yeah, it was a crazy game.
Yeah, it was a little weird. I don't think you're going to do that every time, but it's
No.
going to be a lot of fun to
Yeah, we
follow.
gave you a show on that one.
Yeah, that thing was ridiculous. In a good way. It was a lot of
Right.
fun.
Yeah.
The games that everybody's going to be waiting to see are the games with you and Georgia Revolution. I talked to Eric about it. Great rivalry between you guys. I think a very respectful rivalry. I mean, you played for them.
Yeah.
You guys are doing a lot of similar things in two different parts of the area, but on the field, it's been really intense and really good for the game at this level.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what we want at lower level U.S. soccer. We want these rivalries that get energetic and get a little chaotic.
Yeah.
So we love that. And obviously we respect Georgia Revs on and off the field, but we both want to compete. We're both fierce competitors, and we want to win those games. And we matched up with Revs 3 times, and they beat us twice, and we tied them once. So we got a little payback that we got to come for in 2022. So we're definitely gonna be ready for those games and also the other ones. But having that rivalry, and we're not too far across town, so our fans were able to travel. It's easy to get our fans there and their fans to our place. So it's really exciting, and we can't wait for it in 2022.
That's another similarity between your two clubs that I really love, is that you each have like dedicated supporters groups who are so invested in the club and helping, you and Eric get the word out about everything. The Storm Chasers have been awesome to follow their growth.
Yeah, the Storm Chasers have been great. And the Whitehead family kind of leads that up, and they're part of our youth club. So, and from day one, they were in the stands supporting and banging the drums and waving the flags, which is something that is it's a blessing to have. Like, it's not guaranteed at this level. So the fact that they stepped up to do that was huge. And then you have other kids who are like, I want to come in and wave a flag, and it gets all exciting, and then banging the drums and everybody's getting on board together. We are looking to maybe refine that culture a little bit in this coming year, but I mean, it was a great start. Like, we couldn't have asked for a better start from the supporters. But we're looking to grow it and have some more people involved. And as the Whiteheads lead it, they have some creative ideas coming for 2022 as well.
That's awesome. I can't wait for those games this year. I can't wait to see just the growth of both of your clubs. What do you think this past week with getting that experience with Atlanta United, what do you think that does for your club as a whole in the long run?
Yeah, so it sets us up for a lot of different things. The first thing is just getting the experience. Like, even the youth players and the families that weren't able to go into the facility with us, they got to kind of experience that with us sharing that. Like, our 3 coaching staff that are part of our NPSL also coach youth. So all during the week when they were running their youth training, everybody's coming up to him saying, how was it? So getting to share that firsthand is awesome. And, representing West Georgia is a huge deal, because there's a lot of pride there, and a lot of people care about, what we're doing and want us to succeed. So, we had youth parents calling and saying, hey, we just saw you guys on the news. But it was great. Like, it was a good thing. So, so awesome. Having that connection was huge. And then obviously Atlanta United were incredible hosts. They from the second we walked in to the second we left, they took care of us 100%, which I was really impressed with. And so our staff and our players getting to see that firsthand is also a huge thing, because you can see the culture is a culture of excellence there. And so I was taking notes, which was really cool, as we take that back to our club and going into our second year. So it sets us up for a lot of different things, especially the way we run things, I would think.
Stephen, it's awesome catching up with you. I can't wait to work with you more in 2022. I love what you're doing. I've told you this since the first time I saw the Storm and everything you were doing. I love what you're doing in the community. I love that it is authentic to West Georgia, and you're a community-based club that's putting a great product on the field and growing the game in the state of Georgia. I'm all in. I want to help as much as I can.
Yeah, well, we appreciate it, Jason, and we're excited to continue this relationship and have a great 2022 coming up.